We've all been there. Finished a run on a Saturday morning, you stop your watch and you upload the data to Strava, and within just a few clicks you can compare yourself to all your fellow runners. And if you're nice, you can even dish out a few kudos. But amidst all the stats and information, there is one fundamental question we all ask ourselves. Am I running at a good pace for my age? Knowing if the pace you're running at is good or not is important, but once you hit the age of 50 and beyond, it becomes even more important. Successful pacing can improve your confidence, maintain your motivation, reduce your risk of injury, and improve your endurance. And who wouldn't want that? So in this video, we're going to discover what a good running pace is for a 50-plus-year-old runner and why it matters. We'll dig into how to measure it, what it means, and most importantly, how you can improve it. I've got Lindsay here with me once again today, and before we dig into what a good running pace is, Lindsay, let's take a step back. Why is knowing what pace you're running at so important?
So Brad, pace is the minutes per kilometer or minutes per mile that you run at. For example, if you are running a 5 kilometer in 25 minutes, that's 5 minutes per kilometer or 8 minutes per mile. And it's a great metric to use to measure intensity because most people have got a GPS device. So it's universal and it's really good. Everyone knows what they're doing, they know what pace they're running, and they can use it to control how their workout is going. However, one of the biggest mistakes that runners make is that they think of pace in absolute terms. And that is one of the weaknesses of using pace when we are trying to control intensity, because obviously 11 minutes per mile is not the same when we're running on a flat road and uphill or downhill. And so it is important to understand that we need to adjust that pace when we are training depending on whether we are going uphill or downhill.
All right, cool. That makes total sense. So let's look at it. What is a good pace for a 50-year-old runner?
Yeah, Brad, so that's always a good question. And the answer is, how long is a piece of string? I mean, are we talking about intervals, easy runs, long runs? What distance are we talking about? Are you male or are you female? How old are you? So really there's a huge amount of variation. The great thing again is that we can compare ourselves to runners of the same age and the same ability and gender. But even better is that we can compare ourselves to ourselves. So once we know how we should be training, we can keep track of how we're training, and then we can see how that impacts our performance, and we can use that to make sure that we keep improving.
Okay, but for example, Lindsay, if I want to know if my pace is good, who should I compare it to?
Yeah, Brad, again, I think let's start off with comparing ourselves, because if you've got times for 5, 10, the half marathon or the marathon, we can use that information to both set our training intensities and to set goals across the various distances and set up training paces to help us meet those training goals. And what's really key here is that if we set up the appropriate training zones, then you can get the most out of your training and remain pain and injury free, making sure that you are consistent, and that is how you'll achieve your goals. So what we typically say here is that we can use your marathon pace, and by adding 45 to 60 seconds per kilometer onto that gives you a really good idea of where you should be running your easy runs.
Okay, that's a really interesting way of looking at it. But Lindsay, surely somebody has worked out what a good pace is for a 50-plus-year-old runner.
Absolutely, Brad. And a great resource is the World Masters Athletics website, where they've actually got a calculator that you can punch in and you can look up world records across a variety of distances so you can compare yourself. As you can see on the table, you can now pull out where you fall in your age and your gender, and that'll give you a good idea of where you sit. Plus, it'll give you a great incentive to set targets and make your way up that ladder.
Gee, Lindsay, that's a very cool resource. Thanks for sharing that. I'll pop the link into the description as well if people want to click straight through. Before we get on to how we can improve the pace, are there any implications that we should be aware of about this?
Yeah, there's absolutely real-world implications to making sure you get your pacing right. Most people are horrendous at pacing themselves, especially in races, Brad. So if you get your paces right in training, it means that you're going to be getting more out of your training. Your recovery times are going to be better. You're going to be less tired all the time. You're going to avoid getting injured and being sore through this training process. That also means that you're going to be enjoying your training more. That means you'll be more likely to be consistent and finish the training that you are doing, and this will allow you to hit those goals, and oftentimes it means that we can exceed those goals. So that's really around the training. But importantly, when you go into a race, and the longer that the race is, the more important this becomes. It allows you to set up a plan. and to take the guesswork out of how hard you can go from the beginning. You set yourself your pace and you follow that, and what that'll mean is that you are meting out your energy far more evenly, and that'll take you deep into the race, being able to finish nice and strong and not gassing out towards the end of the race and having to do lots of unnecessary walking in that final third.
So I guess that leaves us with the million-dollar question, is how do you actually improve your pace? Well, the good news is Lindsay and I are holding some free training called the Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. You can save your seat in it by clicking on the link on screen right now, and we'll show you exactly in practical terms how to improve your running pace so that you can keep running faster for many, many years to come, injury-free. We'll also help you improve your endurance. So click on that link right now.